Welcome to the UIAAA Connection podcast. We thank GoFan and VNN, the exclusive sponsors of the UIAAA Connection. Now operating as one combined company, GoFan and VNN offer a seamless experience through digital ticketing and athletic websites. They make it easy to direct fans to one central place for schedules, communication, and tickets for both home and away events. We appreciate GoFan and VNN for their continued support and exclusive sponsorship of the UIAAA Connection podcast.
Welcome back to another edition of the UIAAA Connection. I'm your host, Mark Hutch Hunter. Today we have as our special guest, Dr. Carlos Cave, Certified Master Athletic Administrator and the District Athletic Director for the Beaufort County School District in South Carolina. Welcome to the podcast, Carlos.
It is definitely a pleasure to be a participant.
Let's have you begin by sharing with our audience in the U.S. and across the world where you grew up, where you went to college, your first job, etc.
So I was born and raised in Allendale County. Allendale County is a small county, a rural area in South Carolina. Attended high school at Allendale Fairfax High School. Proud graduate, class of 1989. From there, I attended Georgia Southern University in Statesboro, Georgia, and graduated there in 1994 as a graduate, and went on to immediately be hired by my former high school as a coach and social studies teacher. So began immediate employment there, coaching football, eventually getting into track and field, served there as an assistant coach and defensive coordinator, eventually becoming the head football coach there in 1996 and athletic director, which I had zero experience as an athletic administrator. Served in the role of head football coach and athletic director from 96 until 2003. Resigned from the position to pursue some other avenues, as well as go back to school. So I left Allendale County and ventured over to Orangeburg County and joined the coaching staff at Edisto High School, eventually moving from the classroom into an administrative role as an interim assistant principal. And the district also allowed me to continue to coach. So that was my first dive into administration as a principal. From there, I coached there and served in that role for 2 years. Then I took a position at another school within Orangeburg County, and North High School, was the head football coach there and head track coach. Stayed there for 2 years, and then my foray into a larger school, I had the opportunity to come to Beaufort County in 2008 as a head football coach at Battery Creek High School, and from there, serving there for 3 seasons, I became the athletic director at a brand new high school, Weld Branch Early College High School, and served there until 2022. Brand new building, brand new school. Everything about that experience was a learning experience, with great experiences, great community. And from Weld Branch to the district office at Beaufort County. So I'm now serving in my current role as district athletic director.
Perfect. Let me ask you about your participation in sports as a young man. Was there plenty in the town and the school where you grew up, or were you, some of the smaller towns don't have as much opportunity for kids to participate as some as a metropolitan area?
So in Allendale, football and basketball were definitely the two main sports. Where as a young man, baseball as well. But I participated in football and track and field. Track and field as a thrower, shot and disc, and then with the football side of it, I played football from middle school through high school. Had a great head coach in Ron Blackman, and later Doc Davis, that groomed me and helped me to grow as a young man. Small town, definitely small town vibe. We had a lot of counties around us where we had very intense rivalries, but all in a good way. So I definitely enjoyed my experience of playing in a smaller setting here in South Carolina.
Perfect. Let me ask you about some of the mentors you had as a young man that helped you along, and then some of the mentors you had in your professional life. Share that with our audience.
It begins for me with, again, my coaches. Coach Ron Blackman really uh, stressed the discipline side of things. Really poured into me about hard work, as well as Doc Davis, who coached me my senior year. He was a military um, um, guy, and again, structure and discipline were key for both of them. Also, I had the pleasure of having um, Coach Mills, Coach Adam Brown, again, guys that I would see within the community because they lived in the community, both certified phys ed teachers. But those were gentlemen that, again, I could go to their classroom and kind of what I would say keep you on the straight and narrow, because they really mentored me and really spoke truth to power in the fact that, you had the potential to do some great things. And they really kind of helped to narrow my scope. And they were both of them, Coach Mills, Coach Brown, Coach Peacock, were gentlemen that I really kind of tried to pattern myself behind just because of the way they carry themselves and interacted with the youth in the community.
Perfect. Let me have you talk now. Well, let me ask you this, a little bit of a personal question I always ask my guests. Carlos, what's your biggest failure or disappointment in life, and what did you learn from it?
Um, I would say, and this was totally out of my control, but I unfortunately lost my mother at a very young age. I lost my mother when I was in elementary school, and she was my biggest fan. And one of the things that I know she's proud of me in heaven, but I really, one of the things that I often wonder how proud she would have been to watch me grow through and grow and mature as a young man. So it's not so much, it's more of a regret that she hasn't been actively there to witness me do the things and accomplish what I've been able to accomplish. So that is stands out to me. And as far as mistakes made potentially, I would say um, I wish I would have learned earlier um, policies and procedures as an athletic administrator, and really would have become a more active participant early on with the NIAAA. I began taking courses as part of our state association, but it was more so, okay, they're offering this, let me take it, and not really diving deeply into it to the extent that the growth components that were part of the NIAAA at that time through my state association. I really didn't really find the value early on. It wasn't until later on in life that I became an athletic director the second time around that I really found value in everything about the NIAAA.
Well, then let me ask you this. If I remember correctly, so you serve on the board of directors, I know that, but I didn't you run as an at-large person rather than it was not awarded to South Carolina's turn on the board, correct?
That is correct. So that whole process again, one of my mentor, Mr. Darryl Nance, and I gotta make sure I call his name, Mr. Darryl, Big D.
But does that mean I have
Once
to call him Mr. Darryl now? Because I just call him Darryl.
you can call him Darryl. He answers. He
Okay.
will answer. I actually spoke with him this morning. But you know the watching Darryl, Coach Nance, and I still call him Coach Nance, just the respect that I have for him. Watching Coach Nance navigate, articulate, always speak to best practices, and then learning more and more about his journey helped mold me into saying that, okay, he is someone I need to pattern myself after, literally. Once I realized that he had participated as a board member and now as a past president on the board, it kind of really made me laser focused because I will always sit with him. I will always talk to him. And again, when the opportunity for the at-large piece came into play, he was the first person I called. What are your thoughts? Is it possible? Do you think I have a shot? What do I need to do? And he kept it straight with me, and he talked about other leaders that he was aware of in our section, because I had to come out of our section first. So he
Right.
taught me through that process of, okay, you gotta here's some folks that you may have to go against. Luckily, what I would call some of the heavy hitters at the time were already involved in other ways. So he's like, well, you may not have to worry about this guy. You may not have to worry about this young lady. So the stars really kind of started to align. Uh, came out of my section, was fortunate there. And when it was time to actually run, and I think it was in Orlando when I ran against the Section 4 rep. It was one of those things where I just trusted in the process, and I felt like I was prepared to articulate to everyone who I am, what I'm about, and I had the full support of my state association. That's the one thing I will say, because we really had a plan going into it, as far as buttons and just things, and really kind of putting my name out there in a way that folks, when it was time to vote, hopefully with my speech and then the flyers and other things that we did as a state association, put myself out there in a way that they remembered and casted their vote for me.
That's fascinating. I'll share this with you because I'm sure you don't know. Well, most people don't know this. I ran for the at-large back in 1999, so 27 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
back when I first got involved. But this was back when they had 3 general sessions, and this was back before you spoke. So the 3 people, the 2 people and I that ran, spoke at the second general session, which is not that big a deal from the first general session. But at that time, the second general session was Sunday morning at 8 in the morning.
Mm.
And I would bet when the 3 of us gave our talks, we were lucky if there was 250 people in the audience. And so it's changed a whole lot. So talk about the Orlando conference just for maybe a half a minute or a minute, and talk about what a great experience that is to run, but how nerve-wracking that can be, because you're running for this at-large spot, but then you've got the conference to attend and a million other things. And talk about how taxing that can be.
So it definitely was a challenge. And my wife, she traveled to Orlando with me. So she kept me calm. She was in the at the general session when I gave my speech and just kind of spoke to who I am and what I was as a leader. But it was very nerve-wracking. I just can remember standing at the podium and just looking out, and it just seemed like the crowd extended just like a football field length, and the room was very deep. The session was well attended, and once I stood there, I took a deep breath and I was like, okay, just share with them who you are and how you plan on representing them on the board and what type of leadership that you bring to the table. So I really focused in. I think one of the things, because I had someone when the next year we were in Austin, and this is a person that I had never met, to come up to me and literally say, because I spoke about how the NIAAA was my solid foundation and how you can build build your foundation two ways: on solid rock or sinking sand, which is biblical. And that
Mhm.
I remember being in Austin and a gentleman coming up to me and say, "Look, I voted for you, and I tell you what, when you quoted that scripture, that just really threw it over the top for me." And so as I reflect and being reflective, I'm glad that I was led to go that way and presenting myself to the masses, because again, it's not like you just stated, coming out of my section and being the selection for my section. I had to be chosen by all the members. So I'm proud to for it to have played the way that it played, and to honestly be able to say that I was selected by the membership.
That's perfect. Thank you for sharing that. Let me have you share, Carlos, some stories. If I'm not mistaken, you're the chair of the 608 course, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so let's
Um,
talk about 608 and to talk about some stories, what it's like to be a chair of a course in the NIAAA.
well, again, I, I I I like to tell folks that I seek leadership opportunities. So again, patterning myself after my mentor Darryl, knowing that he taught courses, I say, well, I have to teach courses. Literally, that's what I said. How does that work? What does that look like? Because I'd also sat in on the sessions where you want to become involved in NIAAA. So I sought committee opportunities as well. But being a part of 608, I came on and I'd taken the course obviously prior to, but that whole process was just, I love the information that we share and helping other ADs become organized and what that looks like and better being able to manage their day. Lamar Glenn, Steve Robinson are now part of that teaching team, and Alex Novak out of California, she's part of our team as well. She's the newbie of the group. But I've thoroughly enjoyed that course. I always, even in providing the instruction, I receive a lot of valuable information because, there's so many different ways to skin the cat. And what I've found every single time that I've taught the course is that someone is doing something in a way that I was like, you know what? That I think I really like that, and I'm going to adopt that within my school district. So that's been the biggest piece for me with 608 is it while I'm providing instruction, I always gain and I benefit from the interactions with the participants in the class. And I've taught it virtually and obviously taught it at NADC. So there's never been a time where that course I've had the opportunity to present it, even within my state association, where I've not learned and gained valuable insight to better ways to do and structure my day to day.
And share with our audience, because everyone hears 608, but I'm not sure they connect the number with the title of the course and what the subject matter is.
So 608 focuses on organization, how you organize your day, how to better manage your day. It talks about what I would call time wasters, how to delegate, uh, um, and but not put so much of a burden on yourself. Identifying folks within your department that can assist, and not being afraid to delegate tasks that you normally take on yourself. One of the things that I always say as part of that course, I always ask this question: what does AD stand for? And of course, that standard answer is always going to be, "Oh, it stands for athletic director." Duh. And I was like, "Oh no, it doesn't." AD stands for all duties, all day, after dark. And when I say that they always, someone's always jotting that, repeat that again. So I'll repeat it, but that's my standard line: all day, all duties after dark, and getting them to understand the work-life balance, how critical that piece of it is. And also on the back end, we talk about family and health as health for the athletic administrator. Again, if you don't have that work-life balance, it will drain you, and it'll put a strain on your relationships, put a strain on your family, because you're raising kids, but sometimes your kids is at the expense of your kids. So we touch on all of those things as a part of the course, and again, it's one of those things that I've truly enjoyed every year, the opportunity to present it.
Thanks for sharing that. Carlos, let me ask you this. You recently had the opportunity to be one of the dozen presenters in the new 790 that's going to roll out in December. You have a little snippet that's going to be in there along with 11 others on the mind, body, and soul. Talk about that opportunity you've had to share.
Again, just that course alone, the fact that Doug is a part of it, and he is known as the bow tie AD. I have ties, and I have several bow ties. I lean more towards bow ties out of respect for him. Um, and it myself. It's been a personal endeavor to present myself in a way and always have a high standard of professionalism, and it's because of like Doug and how I view him. And when the opportunity came for me to be a part, I actually in that video, and I think I pointed it out, I had a bow tie on that he actually gave me,
Yes.
which was great for me to be able to wear that as in tribute to what he did in that initial course and the video portions there. It was a great experience, and I truly enjoyed it. And again, I always seek opportunities. When opportunities are presented to me to participate and help others, I run to it. I never run away.
Perfect. Thanks you for sharing that. Let's have you talk for a minute about the executive directors, at least the ones that I've known in South Carolina, starting back with John Carlisle, then Jerry Linn, and of course you've mentioned Darryl, but talk about what a blessing it's been to work with these gentlemen.
So Mr. Carlisle, it was literally because of Mr. John Carlisle. So I have a story about me being on the board. And this ties back into Mr. Carlisle. We have our spring conference in March. there was a position available within our classification to be on the board. And I submitted my name. I was not successful. This would have been maybe 2010, around that time, maybe 2011. That following year, in that spring, there was another vacancy because of some folks moving and changing classifications. The gentleman that I lost my opportunity to be a part of the board, that the gentleman that defeated me, he approached me. And he said, "Look, do you still have an interest on being on the board? Because I have some conflicts and some other things going on within the classification, so I'm no longer going to be able to serve." So, long story short, I was able to join the board. It was, you know, you talking about sitting in a room with a lot of heavy hitters. I was overwhelmed, but Mr. Carlisle and his way of doing business made it very welcoming for me, to me. And it was because of Mr. Carlisle, he was inducted into the NIAAA Hall of Fame. That was my first NADC in Anaheim, California, because that's the conference where he was inducted. So I literally, because of what he had done in his career and the opportunity that was afforded to him, it opened the door for me to attend my first NADC as a board member. And that was really where all things in our AAA were made clear to me. Because I remember walking around looking at folks with banners, and my badge clearly just stated new attendee. But I'm looking around, okay, what does CAA mean? What does RAA mean? What does CMAA mean? And that is where the fire for me just really ignited. Jerry Linn, who served as the associate executive director when Mr. Carlisle and his wife decided to he always will tell us, "I'm going to step away before you guys want me to step away." And so he made that decision. It was right, and things were moving in the direction that Jerry would fall into that position. And Jerry became the executive director, him and his wife, Jody. And again, nothing changed. I worked closely with Jerry, great leader, former Marine. And he just stayed on top of everything, made sure that as a board that we were well taken care of, afforded us opportunities to attend the NADC by providing stipends for us. Now, it came with the fact that, if you went to the NADC, you were expected to take courses and then be able to come back and teach those courses within our state, which I did not have a problem with. But under his leadership, the organization grew in a major way. I was able to serve with Mr. Carlisle. I'll go circle back with him. I was president of the organization when he was retiring. So I had the opportunity to lead the organization through his retirement, and then be past president under Jerry. And then, of course, we've advanced now on and moved on where Jerry has since stepped away, and Darryl is leading the organization. And one of the great things about him is his high level involvement with the NIAAA, and then myself being able to serve on the board, and the things that I'm exposed to from the leaders from around the country has allowed the two of us to work hand in hand to continue to really grow the things that we do within South Carolina, and work with our athletic administrators and provide with them the best policies and procedures to grow their programs within their districts.
That was incredible. Thanks for sharing that. Share your observations with our audience about the last conference. I say recent conference, but it's been 6 months in Tampa, and talk about what a great opportunity it was to be in Tampa. And then, of course, how crazy busy you were because you were on the board in addition to being an attendee.
Yes. So I tell those that seek the opportunity to be a board member, number one, that it is a tremendous opportunity if you're fortunate to sit in the boardroom and be a part of the inner workings of the NIAAA. Again, Phil and his staff, Becky, Rich, Dave, and just the team at the national office. How they do and go about doing what they do is just next level. And they are the ultimate constant professionals and represent the highest level of professionalism within our organization, number one. Being a board member, the last NADC, you come there, I'm an attendee, but I'm a working attendee. So my experience is one of constantly making sure within what we have put together collectively as a board and with Phil's guidance and his team, making sure that the conference goes off without a hitch. There's a lot of planning that goes into it. And as a board member, you expect to be an active participant, where I'm sitting in on committee meetings and just our normal duties that we're assigned as board members as participants. So for me, the conference is more about serving others. And is no doubt, it's 100% about serving others. It's not about anything about me. Is about serving, and I think all of our board members, to the last man, last woman, will say the same thing. It is literally service, 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 self-service, and ensuring that we provide the best experience for those in attendance.
Perfect. Thanks for sharing those observations. Let's finish up with a couple of questions, Carlos. The first being this. If you've got two suggestions for a brand new athletic administrator and they need to follow Carlos's suggestions in order to become successful, what would your two suggestions be?
I would tell them that first and foremost, become involved in their state association, because that is the local level piece of it that I think is critical, so that they have a good understanding of how their state works, and allow them to be able to provide to their stakeholders within their communities policies and procedures that align with what their state association has in place. Secondly, I will tell them without a doubt to begin the journey of taking leadership training courses, because that for me was really a game changer. I tell the story again in 608 that I probably would have fired myself two or three different occasions between Lee Green and the law classes and just and it's just things that you don't know. And oftentimes what happens, you're following those in the footsteps of others that may have held a position in your building, but they weren't active participants. So my current boss, Ms. Walton, she likes to say, when you do wrong for so long, you think you're doing right. And that's where I was. And it was not until I began taking the courses that I learned this is what it looks like. This is how it needs to look and must look to protect the school district, to protect me and the students that I serve, as well as my coaches. So I would definitely encourage state association. Secondly, take the leadership training courses, and then become certified and attend the national conferences. Because one of the things that I tell folks within our state association, consistently tell them, is that you have to PD, you have to seek professional growth, and that there is nothing that compares to the NADC. Even if you attend and you don't take courses, if you're actively participating in the sessions, you're going to return back to your school district a better person and better able to serve. So those would be the things that I just listed would be the things that I would encourage any new AD. State association and leadership training courses, and then if they can attend the NADC, those are the things that I think have really allowed me to grow professionally.
Great suggestions. Thanks for sharing. We'll finish with this. Carlos, what questions should I have asked you that I failed to ask?
I think for me, the only question that I would ask, and I'll share this because I talked about my mom, but I want to talk about my dad. And so you didn't ask me anything about my father, but what I would say to everyone, for me, how instrumental he was. My dad grew up during a time where he grew up on a farm, and he was an entrepreneurial, self-made man. And it wasn't, and this is not so much a funny story, but this is an actual true story. So I was working at my high school where I graduated in Allendale, Fairfax. And for whatever reason, I was in the vault where they kept personal archive records on folks. So I was looking up information on a student, and I saw my dad's name, and it was Charlie Cade. So I looked at, and I did not realize that my dad had dropped out of school and actually went back to school to get his GED. And that's all he obtained was his GED. Now, my mother, she was a college graduate. She was an educator. And most of my family members, to include my siblings of my dad, they were educators. But he has the biggest thing that I tell folks that I learned from him and that I would like to share in closing is that he taught me that whatever you do, you have to be able to stand on your record. And the record for him always was doing the right thing consistently, helping others consistently, serving others consistently. And as a person he's very religious, a deacon in his church, belonged to a lot of different organizations. But the fact that for me to later find out that part of his journey was him having to work and drop out of school to go back to school and then only get his GED, but still be able to provide for us, own several businesses and achieve at a high level. It just aligns with what he always shared with me was to always work hard, and whatever you're going to do, try to be the best at it. And again, stand on your record. And that's what I've attempted to do my entire career, is live a life and be a professional in such a way that when people say my name or have my name brought up in discussions, they will consistently be that he stood for the right things and tried to do the right things all the time consistently.
Beautifully said. On that note, that wraps up this edition of the UIAAA Connection. Again, our special guest today has been Dr. Carlos Cade, Certified Master Athletic Administrator, the Director of Athletics at the Beaufort County School District, and a member of the NIAAA Board of Directors. Carlos, thank you so much for being on the podcast today.
Thank you. I truly enjoyed it.
For our listeners, we hope you tune in again next week for another edition of the UIAAA Connection.